Danielle Salzman, Solzy at the movies. How did you first come across the script and what was your reaction?
Sure. Hi, Danielle. Yeah, I was sent the script, and it was a time where, we were all in lockdown. So we were very much locked away in Australia, not able to leave. And it was a film, about a woman trying to have good sex for the first time in her life and hiring a sex worker. And I knew it would be about intimacy and connection. And I knew Emma Thompson was attached. And I just thought, well, yes, please. Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want to come and do that? That was my reaction. And it was very much, this is the perfect role for Emma, and it would be a privilege for me to direct her.
What was it like getting to direct the cast in such an intimate environment?
Heavenly. Yeah, I love them both. And they're both really, it's wonderful to work with people who are so skillful in any capacity. But both of them are not just skillful, but they're also very generous, and they're also willing to be vulnerable. So they stepped into our rehearsal room a week before we started shooting with absolute gusto. They were like, let's do it. Let's do whatever you want. Lay me down on the floor and I'll draw around myself. I'll show you my scars and we can talk about our lives. And also really smart about the story. So I loved every minute of that. And I felt that my job a lot of the time was to work with the creative team, of course, but also to just sort of be with the actors and make sure that what we were getting on screen was what they wanted to do and that what I felt we needed to do to tell the story. So it was really focused and it was a great pleasure.
Pandemic aside, what was the most challenging aspect of the production?
Yeah, pandemic actually helped us, I think. I really enjoyed the focus of no one going anywhere. Like no one had parties or anything. We were all just really focused on the film. The greatest challenge was actually one of the good things, which was mostly set in one room with two actors. I was excited by that, but then I realized this is really challenging, and truly I had a great cinematographer, Brian Mason, who's also the editor, and production designer Mirren Marinon, and secret weapon in our sound designer Steve Fannigan, who helped to build a world that felt like we could move through the hotel room, we could keep it cinematic, the light could change a lot, and the city of London, could kind of feed in and out when we needed it to for the intimacy. And so those guys really rose up to that challenge. I feel like they did really nuanced, beautiful work. Yeah, very subtly and quietly. So maybe most people wouldn't notice it.
I mean, I read the press notes for the first time last night, and I thought for sure that this was an actual hotel room and not a set.
Amazing. That's so great. Yeah, it was a set, and it was really fun working in a set, and we had a big kind of translight view kind of thing. And so the lighting was quite a challenge to make sure that we could, shift that light across the day. And I also said to the cinematographer, I want the light to be in almost every shot. I want the window to be in almost every shot, which is a big thing to say to a cinematographer. But I really loved all of that part of it. And yeah, we had just that little bit more space than a hotel room of that size would have too.
And what were the challenges that came with making a film during a pandemic?
Well, we had to get exemptions to leave Australia because Australians weren't allowed to leave the country. That was one thing. And when we returned, we had to do 2 weeks of hotel quarantine, Brian and I together. But we started editing during that time. So we were like, this isn't so bad. This is just like an edit suite. We don't go outside anyway, I guess, the masks and all of that part of it and the testing every day, when you're telling something about intimacy, it can be quite hard to never see the crew's faces. Fortunately for us, we got to be in a little bubble, the kind of inner sanctum of the filmmaking. And so it was only 3 weeks, so we could kind of be together and without much risk. But that's hard. And I guess then truly, just selfishly, like when we went to launch at Sundance, it moved to being online, and I just really missed seeing it for the first time with an audience like that and being at a festival. And I love seeing the film when a whole lot of people are watching it together,
Yeah, I mean, I had been planning on attending Sundance in person, and as soon as I paid my money for lodging, I started to second guess my decision. Like, is this really the best idea? Are they going to go virtual?
I know.
Cases are rising. Why are you not going virtual yet?
I know. We had the same thing. It was like, it made so much sense when they did, but we were kept booking, we booked the tickets and then we're like, are we coming? And nope.
So what do you hope people take away from watching the film?
I hope there's a kind of freedom that's offered in the story, that, that you don't have to settle for kind of a life that is expected of you, and the life that you've chosen, maybe without thinking about it too much, that you're allowed to shift and change. That's a big thing for me. And that someone else, who you might not think is somebody that you're going to get much out of, can surprise you. They can be somebody that you can have a real experience with. And I guess two other things. One is like that pleasure is really important, and it's really okay for us to go out after it. It's really okay for us to think of pleasure as something that's useful and beautiful in our lives. And secondly, that, our bodies are tools, they're our homes, they're there for us to use, and they look after us, and they're, they are us. They're not a billboard for us. They're not about how they look. And the idea that how our bodies look is the most important thing about them is just, it's devastating that that's how we've been, brainwashed to believe about our bodies, as though they're flawed, based on how they look. And we do it to ourselves. We look in our mirror and we see how they look to someone else rather than how they feel to us. And so I hope people think about those things, or more importantly, I hope people just have a feeling about those things and want to talk about their own experience of that.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Danielle.